in front of you. That's from the customs aspect of it.
I just want to say that we have a holistic picture on what's going on. That's why this is not something new. A few years ago, we implemented the examination of cargo in the absence of the customer with Air Express. It was later expanded to the rest of the courier services. Then we expanded to the post office as well. And a year or so ago, we expanded to Hobson Enterprises in terms of non-commercial cargo. So what we're doing on the port is not something new in terms of something that we are implementing. We have been doing this in the courier service, in the post, in regards to the post office goods, and it has rebound to greater security, because there was a time in regards to the post office that every month we got seizures. Consistently, month after month after month after month, we got seizures detecting prohibited and restricted goods in consignment that were brought to. So there's an add-on effect in regards to the security of the Federation as a whole. We've also implemented in regards to Hobson. And the cry was, when we initially implemented in regards to the courier operators, is that the people want to come up and they want to be able to speak to the custom officers.
Yes.
They want to be able to negotiate.
Yes.
They want to be able to say, you a customer, okay, you charge me that.
You could take off something.
You could take off something. And that was one of the challenges that even the courier operators would have identified. But we stuck to it, and there is now an acceptance of the system because people recognize the benefits.
Yes.
It's much more convenient.
Yep.
I don't have to come up and wait up there and wait for hours to get my cargo. I now have everything online. I go and pay, and thank you very much. Much appreciated. I have my cargo.
Right, so the system is working.
Yes. There's no perfect system, and as we go along, we are identifying where we have the challenges, where we have the gaps, and we are implementing new measures to address those issues. But yes, it is a system that is working and achieving its objectives.
And most people understand what the system is about. So there's a few people basically who are creating the rumors and so on in the society. What do you think could have been done better to educate the public, to develop awareness and so on in terms of the new measure? Because you know what? Sometimes when people don't understand things, I said it before, they become suspicious. Some people feel as though this was just sprung upon them, especially at this time.
Yes.
You know, and so therefore they feel that, you know.
Okay, if I may answer that.
They didn't have enough time to adapt to this new measures and so on.
Yes, correct.
What happened, this new system was approved by Cabinet on the 30th of November. During the week of the 30th up until I think the 4th of December, we did a sensitization via ear. And I think because we limited ourselves in the sense of just doing it within that week and then maybe once or twice the week after, persons weren't informed, and as such they felt that they were left out. So maybe if we had done a sensitization for the month of November, working up to our peak period, maybe persons might have understood the process even better. But what we've tried to do to address this is that on our pages, both customs and port pages, we outline what the process is all about from the beginning to the end of it, so that you are aware what you're coming into. But we are asking for support from the public end of it in regards to the social media aspect of it, updating on the website. Check the website before you come, because then you come up and you say, okay, well, the process hasn't changed. It's still long and tedious. But that is not the case. When your cargo says available on our website, then is when you come. And you will be dealt with within that day as long as your cargo is available. So maybe more sensitization would have been the key.
I definitely agree. I mean, coming up to the implementation of the new measures, we attempted to get out there, but I don't think we did it with enough time before the new system came into place. You would be aware that around that time you would have had the opening of the borders and so on. A lot of concentration I know at least in the customs side, in the port side definitely, there was a lot of concentration of getting that right.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of our efforts were. I think at that point in time we were a little bit too occupied with getting the opening correct and making sure that all the protocols are in place, that everybody's processed through the correct way, that health is doing its job, immigration is doing its job, customs is doing its job. That by the time we looked and said, we need to deal with the port as well, because we have just opened the borders and the risk of COVID-19 is now higher in regards to contracting it in persons within the Federation. And so, yes, we did it in a sense, in a short notice. We had customs corner running for, I think about 3 weeks straight, coming up to the Christmas season, trying as much as possible to engage the general public. The strange thing is that when the call-in session comes, not many persons call in. We also, I think, were unfilmed. From one thing we did not do was to get around to all the media houses in a timely manner to ensure that the different listening audience, because not everybody listening to the same thing. So ZIZ have its unique listening audience that seems to just like ZIZ. And we should have come out to ZIZ and be a part of, use them as a part of ensuring that the general public was sensitized. We're here now. That's one of the reasons why we're here, to sensitize the listening audience.
You know something, people like to spread things. They don't have any evidence, they don't have any proof. I've heard people say, I believe they're doing it. But what do you base your belief on?
Yes.
You have nothing to base it on. But you cannot tarnish the reputation of an institution and the workers in that institution without proof.
That's right.
And if you have proof, you bring the proof. Isn't that so? Yes. So you just don't go to the court. We see a lot of that recently and say, well, the officers are committing fraud and so on. But the court said, but where's the evidence of the fraud?
Yes.
Bring the evidence of the fraud. And if you have no evidence of the fraud, then you have really nothing to complain about. You have no case.
That's
right. But what is being done? Because still there's a perception, and we are here, of course, as you said, to sort of, deal with that perception that people have to change, to try to change that perception. But what measures really have been put in place in light of the perception of theft? Mr. Butler.
Well, there are many things that have been done. I'll just name a few and then I'll have my colleagues from the Port Authority to speak about it. One of the things that we did on the customs side is that we ensure as much as possible that officers who examine goods, we tell them, hello, your signature is going on that sticker that's going on the package. Ensure that when you have completed the examination, the package is properly secured, it's shrink wrapped, and it's removed to the place of storage. Because if anything happens to that package, your name is on top of that package. So you have to ensure as much as possible to secure your name, that everything is intact and secured in regards to the item that you just examined. The other thing that we have done, we are working together as a team where we identify in storage some lapses in terms of the proper wrapping and securing of the goods. I would get on to Joey, Tishel, and I will let them know that, listen here, we see some things there, and they would get their men in and they would wrap it and make sure that people's goods are secured. The other thing that we're doing is that we have spoken to the person in charge of the enforcement division, and we've asked him to ensure that officers are assigned to both areas, and their job is to ensure as much as possible that the people's goods are secured and not tampered with. So we are putting additional layers of security in place to ensure that persons leave with the goods that they have shipped.
In regards to having an overflow of cargo, though, with reference to barrels, sometimes, as Butler stated earlier, when you repack a barrel, sometimes you get it closed back with more space, and sometimes there's an overflow. When we have an overflow, what we do, we place it on top of the barrel and shrink wrap the cargo with the barrel. so that everything is combined. But in regards to, before we get to the storage part of it, during the examination aspect of it, there are 3 persons present: customs, port, and the agent. And the agent representative. Yes, the agent representative, which represents you, the individual, because they're part of Port Services, PSL. Now, all 3 persons are present, and then we have cameras as well there. So I don't see how this perception could be out there. I can't tell persons not to think what they want to think, but we are ensuring that the proper personnel who need to be there are there at all times. Not 1 out of 2, not 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3. All 3 persons. We do not touch cargo unless your representative is there.
Right. And if something is confiscated, the person will know that such thing has been confiscated.
Yes.
So it would not be seen as a stealing, as a theft.
Correct.
But it's confiscated goods.
Right.
And there's a reason will be given why those goods have been confiscated. Isn't that so?
That's correct.
Right. What about if you have damaged goods?
Damaged goods, as the port officer responsible for this section when it comes to examining cargo, what I do is take pictures of the container as soon as we open it to see how your cargo was received. When they come out and the customs officers are examining them, I will go through to each customs officer, and while they're examining the contents of your cargo, will ask them what is seen damaged. I will make reference to a television. Someone shipped a 32-inch television in a barrel, and the only way it was secured was with 2 towels. It was wrapped up in a towel. Now, what would happen to this is that everything that's in there, with be it can or whatever, is squeezing this.
Pressure will come. Pressure.
Yeah. It is squeezing it. So they might think, okay, well, my cargo got damaged from the port, but this is how we actually received it. So it's not always our fault, and if it is our fault, we log the information, because sometimes when we do handle cargo, the use of forklifts, there are times that accidents will happen, and we will inform the customer as soon as they get into the waiting area to clear their cargo that this is the situation, and we'll distribute a claims form to them and ask them to bring a receipt, fill out the form, and we will deal with the claim accordingly.
Right.
What I would like to say is, Butler touched on it as well. It's not a perfect system, and between myself and Mr. Butler, we are always communicating on what the king saw and how best to address it. Just today, Butler got on to me concerning shrink wrapping specific boxes and so forth within the warehouse. Got the team together, and we shrink wrapped every piece of cargo that could have tempted, let me use the word tempted, anyone. But even if they're tempted, our surveillance cameras, it have coverage of the warehouse, and that in itself would but deter persons from doing that.
Right.
It would deter. So between Mr. Butler and myself, and even with T-Shell and with Mr. Kervin Freeman, our cargo operations manager, we try to, as much as possible, keep in contact, communicate. At times, even today, I was telling Mr. Butler, I'm sure you're tired of hearing from me. I called him like 10 times this morning.
That's a part of the job.
Yeah. So we try to communicate, try to fix these kinks, try to put measures in place as it comes, because it's a fluid system right now, especially during the December time. So we try as much to do what we need to do to ensure that the customers receive the cargo that was shipped.
Right. And you know what? I find it a bit funny that, you have cargo that is shipped, but yet they have to travel to their destination.
Yes.
Isn't that so? And you also have crew, you have people who are working and so on. So why don't you say then, oh, the crew stole it? I'm not, I'm just, you know what I mean?
Yes, I know.
So it's, maybe it's a deliberate act. I don't, it sounds to me that if you're going to say something without evidence, that must be questioned. we have to be critical thinkers in our society, and not just run with things because somebody comes and brings something and says, well, look, you see those custom officers, they're thieving people's things. And it's a serious allegation. But you don't make those allegations like that without facts.
Absolutely.
It's quite funny because there was one situation that came up, and I was investigating it, where every time this specific goods from a specific vendor came to our shores, items were missing, and they keep saying that it's happening here, it's happening here, it's happening here, and it concluded that it was happening on board the vessel. I won't say which vessel and which thing, but when we would verify, we would have a customer officer there, and along with the consignee, and when we open it up, items are missing. Right? We also have what you call concealed damages, where any item that is concealed that gets damaged, right? We won't honor that as well, because it could have happened from its origin during the shipment. It could have happened with us as well, but we wouldn't know.
Yes.
We would not know. But everyone would be like, well, port.
So my point was correct.
Yeah.
It could happen.
It could happen anywhere.
Yeah.
What I would encourage persons to do, and as I would say, as Caribbean people, we do not like to take out the insurance, even when we are flying or doing this. There's always a box to say, well, would you like to buy the insurance to cover this? And we would never check that box or buy the insurance. And I would, as I said, I would encourage persons to get the insurance to cover their packages from point A to point B, because in that way you can easily cover whatever you're missing for damages and so forth. But that is something that our culture, we do not like to do. But this is something that we must do, and even in going forward,
it will cost a little bit more.
Yes, it will cost a little bit, but sometimes it's just $5. I know with West Tech, if I'm not mistaken, is $5, maybe $2, $3 or something like that, just to cover the cost of the ship, of the item that is being shipped. So as I said, I would like to encourage our public, our listening public, to get the insurance, right? Get a peace of mind and so forth. So in case of anything happening, whether if it's damages and so forth, get it covered. So,
but then some of the things that you're hearing, the pilferage, the sort of a petty kind of things, little kinds of things. I mean, I'm wondering if people are interested in stealing those, a bottle of tomato paste and all kinds of things. What is that? What is the value of that to me?
It's somewhat inconsequential, but the problem is that once that is placed in the air, once that is placed on social media, it starts a process that it causes the whole thing to get out of control. Everybody wants to add their part, as you say, without even substantiating whether these things can be factual or not. And strange enough, they oftentimes choose things that cannot be easily substantiated. So that's one of the challenges that are out there in regards to it. So you hear these things out there, very simple things. People, as you say, if you have a critical thinking mind, you would say, a tin of corned beef, a tin of Vienna sausage.
Like really?
Really, and then you would hear us come on and bring the facts, the facts that we have processed a significant amount of persons through the system. We have had situations where significant funds would have been in barrels, and persons were able to leave with their funds. If I had a choice between a Vienna sausage And £1,000, well, I think it's a give. I don't really have to say what will be the thing of choice. But yet still these things are being touted in the media, and a lot of people are carrying them. They're running with it as if it is true without really giving it thorough thought as to whether this thing sounds real. Can this be substantiated? If it's so true, why they have not gone forward to make a proper claim in regards
exactly.
to
that is correct.
Exactly. That again, Mr. Butler is hitting the nail on the head, because I don't want the listening public to think that we are making these or taking these claims lightly.
No.
I thought you were being dismissive.
No,
You're
exactly.
not.
at all. That's not
We are not.
No.
But you need to go through the proper channels, speak to the proper authorities, make a proper claim, and let's go from there, instead of going onto social media and just letting it have a life of its own. Make that claim. Get in contact with us. Let us do our investigations. So we can, if a wrong was done, let us make it right. Very simple.
Right. Because you put it on social media, and then what you're looking for is that you're looking for comments, and you're looking for traction. You know, and people on social media like they like a lot of melee,
Right.
and they like a lot of this sort of a thing, and then they are not going to ask, but is it true?
Correct.
Is it true?
Right.
You
Yes.
you can't tarnish people's reputation and so on just like that.
We have to be careful what we support. It's very important. I think it has been said by others much greater than myself. A lie will get around the earth 1,000 times before the truth gets around once. Sometimes it's late. And one of the things that we're seeking to do going forward is to get persons who have commented on the system and says, well, this is good, and certain good experiences that they have had, to get them out there as well. You're hearing a lot of negatives, but
And they're not in the majority.
they're not in the
No.
majority. I do not believe when you look
No.
at the numbers that we're processing. Obviously, if it was the majority of persons, it would have been an entirely different story. But that is not the case. There are a minority of persons, and the danger when you jump on a bandwagon, you're not too sure what agenda you're jumping on. Because you're not really thinking and critically looking at what is being said and asking, why would a person choose this pathway of addressing the issue? What is the purpose? What is the end?
What are they hiding behind?
Correct. What they're hiding behind. So it's very important as much as possible. Listen to the statistics, look at the empirical data, look at the evidence, look at things critically, and based upon what you are seeing, you make an advised decision.
Right. Now going forward, are you thinking of keeping this system in place going forward? I know you said that one of the reasons for putting it in place was largely because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But going forward, given the fact that you've mentioned that the system is working, and in terms of clearing and so on, you're getting more done.
Correct.
The clearing of goods and so on, more is done within a day.
Correct.
And all of that sort of. Is this something that is now being considered going forward?
What I'll say first of all is that the COVID-19 pandemic is not finished.
It is not.
It's not finished, and
Still have a ways to go.
Yeah, it's far from finishing. We've had in the UK a new strain of
And
COVID-19.
And in other places too, in South Africa.
Right. So they're banning
Australia.
flights and so on. You have in the United States of America lockdown. Christmas was a very mild occasion in terms of who you could spend
That's right.
time with, even in Europe. And these are places which you will never thought for a moment that these types of restrictions would have been put in place. But so it is the case. We are in a new norm.
Yeah.
And having been in a new norm, we have to accept that it cannot be business as usual. We must ensure that we have something in place, that regardless of what happened, there is continuity in strategic facilities and strategic services. The port is a very important facility.
Yeah.
And there is no way that we'd want anything to happen in that facility that prevents people from being able to get their cargo, because you're talking about commercial entities, you're talking about your supermarkets which you buy food from, you're talking about other areas in terms of those enterprises that manufacture goods and have people employed. All these things are impacted by the ability of the port to ensure that cargo keeps moving. And so we must ensure that we have a system that is robust, and under any condition that the cargo will keep moving. And that's what I believe that this system offers.
You know, one of the things I look at into people are questioning the safety of their goods. But are they questioning their safety, their health, their health safety?
Well said, yes.
The safety of their health and all of that sort of thing. You see, you have to keep the balance, you know, because what's about the safety of your goods, and I have to be there to really see. And if I don't see, well, I don't have any faith.
Yes.
No faith is there.
I shall live by faith.
I must be there to see, and if I can't see, then it means that you're taking up me. Something is happening.
Yes, yes.
You're stealing my stuff.
It's unfortunate.
Okay, now I want you to mention again, Mr. Wilson, in terms of where a customer can file a genuine complaint or concern, because I think that is important. You know, I think you mentioned it before, but I think it is worth mentioning again. If someone has a complaint or a concern, because sometimes people have genuine complaints and concern.
Well, persons can contact Miss Kishma Griffin. She's a customs officer.
She's customs officer.
I have the number here, 466-7227.
Right, and just ask for.
And just ask for Miss Kishma Griffin, and she will outline all the necessary information and documents, or give them the correct information to properly process a claim.
Right.
On the customs end, I mean, on the SCASPA end, just ensure you have all your shipping documents, all your relevant receipts, invoices, so that we can quickly go through that, put it together, do an investigation, and make a determination.
Right.
Simply put. But Miss Kishma Griffin, I'll give you that number again, 466-7227.
Yeah. Social media is not the place.
No.
Correct.
It's not the place. It's not the place. It's not the place.
Just to support what Joey is saying, we had a meeting, both SCASPA and Customs, over the weekend. One of the things that was decided is that we will have a joint team that will look into the complaints that come forward, so that we can investigate, look at the complaints that are brought before us, and substantiate the complaints, identify if these complaints are substantiated, where the breach may have occurred, and put in the necessary measures to ensure that it doesn't happen again. But at the same time, also identify which entity would be the one responsible for ensuring that the goods are restored to the person.
Right. Now, Mr. Butler, you gave some statistics when you began in terms of the numbers of, numbers in terms of the clearing of goods and so on. Maybe it's worth that you mention that again.
Yes, I have no problem mentioning it again and again and again. But
because
but the thing is that we have to understand that what this system has offered for us is the ability to process a significant amount of persons in a very short period of time. What has happened again from last week, 16 days going back from Thursday, inclusive of Thursday of last week, we processed, I'm talking about non-commercial individuals, 1,777 persons. On average, that's 111 persons per day. This is not inclusive of persons who would have come as commercial entities. It's not inclusive of brokers who would have come to clear non-commercial cargo. So all of those are not included. When you include those, the number goes up significantly in terms of the number of persons that we have processed that. And again, we have processed that in what I consider to be, perhaps Joey and Tishel can decide whether they support me in this, in what I personally consider to be record time. The other spill-off benefit from this is that usually during the peak time, there's a point at which the warehouse becomes full and you can't put any more cargo inside there. What this system has allowed for, the cargo moves at such a rate that we've never had a situation where we say, hey, we can't work any more containers, the warehouse full.
Right.
We've never had
That
that
is
situation.
Because I remember last year
That
there
is
was
correct.
quite a backlog.
Yes,
Yeah.
because the warehouse is
So
full.
many goods.
And
Yeah.
because the process is so slow that persons have to come, you have to wait, you're not sure the cargo there. Then when you do get through, you have to go through an examination, which takes a while, and everybody takes a time to process because it's a long process, primarily because of the fact that each person, the goods have to be examined with them there.
And sometimes because of that too, that's one
Yes.
of the factors, the government has had to extend its concession
Yes.
We
way
have?
into January as
Last
well.
year.
Yes.
They did.
Last
Are we doing it again this year?
But
Mr.
I
Butler?
don't know, I don't have that information.
I put him on the spot.
I don't know. Well, he probably is not ready to reveal that. That is something that
That's a
should be
good one.
revealed
Close
by
to the-
appropriate
close to the-
competent authority.
by the Honourable Prime Minister. The Honourable Prime Minister will reveal that information.
Good point.
If there will be,
Yes,
an
yes,
extended concessionary
Yes.
period going into January, but I think people won't mind.
No, I don't think they will.
Right. Now, so the system is working.
Yes, it is.
The system is working. The objectives, are
Being met.
being met. The goods are being cleared,
Yes.
and so on. It's just a handful of people who are creating this sort of disturbance within the society. Because you have not really received. Have you received any genuine claims?
We have received,
Some,
of
one
course,
or
we
few?
receive claims,
A few.
but the claims in comparison to the number of persons that have been processed
Who are
through
happy.
the system
And who are
who
happy?
have shown, that they are happy with what
Their satisfaction.
what has happened in terms of them being processed is not that significant.
No.
That's what I can definitely say. Obviously, with any system, even under the old system, there were claims. What I'm saying, claims is not
Yeah.
something new to any system.
People just need to get used to it.
Correct,
So if
yeah.
you have it next year, I don't think you'll have so many problems.
Negative feedback.
You will not have so many negative feedback. People take time to adjust, to adapt, to get used to new systems and so on. But whenever you're having change at any sort of institution, sometimes that awareness and that education doesn't always come first.
Yeah.
But that is so essential in order to, not to have all of this suspicion and
Yes,
things
yes,
like that.
removed.
Yeah, I remember at one institution where I used to work, at one point, they came up with this grand idea that they were going to put in cameras and so on. But nothing was really said to the staff. And what did the staff feel? Why are they going to be putting cameras inside here? They want to spy on us, they want to this, they want to that, and so on. So, sometimes
You're not sensitized.
you're not
Sensitization is
sensitized.
important,
That
right?
is
Yes,
extremely
taken.
important.
That's true.
Now, what else would you like to say? Mr. Butler, Tichelle, Wilson?
Let me just add with reference to the claims aspect of it. We do accept responsibility when there is a genuine claim. I'll make reference to a situation we had about 2 weeks back with Carmel, that we had a slight accident on the port and some cargo fell into the sea. What we did, we informed the agents of the list of persons whose shipment was on the forklift at the time and informed them that when they come, accept a claim form and go through the formal process of filling it out and coming with their receipts.
Right.
So when we are wrong, we accept that we are wrong and we genuinely absorb the cost when it comes to the claim aspect of it. In addition, with reference to 2 of our major lines, when it comes to shipping, we have had some short shipments. So persons might say, okay, well, we haven't gotten this or we haven't gotten that. And sometimes the shipment may come this week, they're expecting 5 pieces and only 4 comes. But when the shipment comes the following week, the other 1 piece is there. So it is a process and it's not always on the port end of it. The shipper wasn't able to ship all 5 pieces at the same time. And as such, we have the short shipments.
Yes.
So,
Mr. Wilson.
For me, as we are beginning to wrap up, I would encourage persons to contact us if they have a claim. Get in contact with Ms. Kishma Griffin at 466-7227, and let us do our investigation, and if need be, we will honor the claim, as Miss McLean just said. It is critical to get in contact with us before going onto the social media and posting your misgivings. Just contact with us. We won't bite, right? We won't act up or anything like that. Just contact us, and we will ensure once proven that these items were genuinely missing from your cargo, we would do what is right. Right. So continuously check our website. You can get in contact with us and just continue having a great season. And I wish everyone a prosperous new year.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Mr. Butler.
Yeah, well, I would say that again, to the listening audience, first of all, thank you very much for spending this time with us. I trust that you would have thought that it was a time well spent in terms of the information that you have received. I feel personally that this was a very productive program. I think we were able to get a lot of information out there, and I trust that we were able to dispel a lot of the perceptions that are out there with the facts that are brought to bear. We would like the general public to understand that we have their best interests at heart.
Yes.
We have their best interests at heart. I don't think that anybody up there is conspiring to make life difficult for the general public. The intent of this whole entire system is ensure that the general public is safe and they can do their business in a very safe environment. They conduct their business in a efficient manner where they get through within a certain time, reasonable time, and they can get their cargo and they can be happy and says that, listen here, boy, last year when I went to the port, I spent days up there, I went up there, and I get you in no time at all. Those are the things that we have been hearing. This unfortunate thing is that those are not the things that people are speaking much about. So we encourage persons to be very careful about what they're hearing on social media.
And in years past, you never had that. You never had this talk about people stealing stuff and so on. You never had much of that, did you?
Not
so what has
much?
Not much. I
Not
think
much.
there were a few years that
There was a few.
There were a few years where they said, that them thieving up the poor and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It just seemed like people say certain things that can't be easily substantiated.
But what has brought it on this particular time is because of the change.
Yeah, the
change, and so on. So
change.
People are saying that.
And find us. I mean, I think I would support Joey and Tishel in terms of what they says. We will honor any legitimate, any sincere claim that can be substantiated. We are working to ensure as much as possible that one, we have a point of contact which makes it easy for you to find somebody to bring a claim to, and that person will guide you through the entire process. And we are working together as a team to ensure that we can look into your claim and determine whether it's something that we need to restore to you. So we are here for you. This is what we are. Our business is your business and making you happy within the customs environment.
Well, I want to thank all three of you. Mr. Butler, the acting controller of customs, because we are not here to judge either. We are here to educate. Because with education, I think, comes understanding and comes people's willingness to adapt, to change, accept change, and without being suspicious. Because I don't believe that you have all this mass stealing going on up at the port. I've never believed it. I hear it, but I don't believe it. It just doesn't sound. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I would think that you have all your security measures and so on in place to prevent all of that sort of a thing. You're an institution of, you know, a reputable institution,
Right.
people of integrity and so on. You may have one or two things that happen now again with one or two bad apples,
Not
but
perfect.
those persons are dealt with.
Correct.
You know, those persons are dealt with. But I don't believe this kind of theft, pilferage is happening up at the port. And I would hope that, you know, people can understand, and as you have said, stop the spreading of the rumors, and if they have a genuine claim, to put it to the relevant authorities.
Yes.
Bring that claim.
Thank you.
So, Tishel, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Tishel is the
Mr.
operations
Williams.
officer.
Yes, I am. And let me just say to the public, we are here to serve you.
Yes.
And that is exactly what we are doing. So we're trying to be efficient and effective, and our turnover time has minimized, and that's a good thing compared to last year.
And you are not there to rob anybody.
No, we are not. We're here to
Right.
do our job, and we will continuously do it well.
And Mr. Wilson, the support manager. Your parting words.
Oh, I thought I gave my.
Oh, you gave your party.
He gave
Okay,
his
then
first.
that's the case. You gave yours first. That's right. So I want to thank all three of you, and I hope that this program would have, you know, dispel some of the
I
disquiet.
trust it.
That it would have, that some of the questions would have been answered, and the perceptions about theft would have been clarified.
Yes, correct.
And if you still have thoughts and so on this matter, you can always contact any one of us, and we'll try our best to quell those rumors, thoughts, and anything that may be floating around out there.
Right. Thank you so much, and I want to thank all of our listeners to tonight's program. Thank you very much for tuning in, for your understanding about what is happening. And try to, when you hear people come to you and be telling you all of this kind of thing, ask them, you know, is there any truth to it? Is there any truth to it? So thank you very much, and have a good night. I am Les Roy Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the National Broadcasting Service of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis radio stations that I said. Our time is now 28 minutes after 9 o'clock.
Whether it's a dress store on 4th Street, a snacket in Cayon, or a village grocery in St. Paul's, our small businesses play an important role in our economy. By supporting these businesses, you are helping to create or keep a job or two and to revive our economy. Support our local small businesses. Buy local and keep the doors to our small businesses open. This message is brought to you by ZI.